Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Anuyusabata, Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, Minority in Parliament takes on President John Dramani Mahama for suspending the Fire Chief Justice Gertrude Isaba-Tokono, who is now expected to face a 5-member committee in relation to petition seeking her removal. We're heavy on this particular one tonight. Stay with us. We've got some reactions for you. Lawyers of embattled Akonta Mining Company fights back allegations of illegal mining and the revocation of the company's license. But the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining insists the company cannot extricate itself on these allegations of illegal mining. Health Minister Kwabena Kando's visit to the Tamale Teaching Hospital in the Northern region exposes a broken, malfunctioning, ill-equipped health facility in need of urgent attention. Tonight, we'll take a closer look at healthcare delivery and matters arising, especially with what's coming up with the minister's unannounced visits. As we're saying, as always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
President John Mahama has suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Isaba-Tokono after determining, in consultation with the Council of State, that there is a prima facie case against her based on 3 petitions. Despite her response to the petitions on April 7, the suspension takes immediate effect. A 5-member committee has also been appointed by the President to inquire into the matter and make recommendations. The Minority Caucus in Parliament has condemned the suspension of the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, describing the move as a politically motivated witch hunt aimed at controlling the judiciary and reckless abuse of power. In a press statement, the minority stressed the decision by President John Dramani Mahama to suspend Her Ladyship Chief Justice Gertrude Isaba-Tokono under the purported authority of Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution is nothing short of a brazen judicial coup, a reckless abuse of executive power, and a direct assault on the independence of Ghana's judiciary. Deputy Attorney General Justice Ramsai has emphasized the necessity of suspending the Chief Justice, stating that such a move is essential for the integrity of ongoing investigations. He explained that the suspension would allow the Chief Justice adequate time to prepare her defense in response to the petitions filed against her at the prima facie stage.
When you look at the Constitution, whether or not to suspend the Chief Justice is a question. It's not automatic that whenever a prima facie case is found by the Council of State and the President, the Chief Justice should be suspended. However, there are other reasons why the Chief Justice may be suspended. We have 3 petitions, and they are made up of allegations which we, the public, are not aware of. Now, the question is, if you have 3 petitions, you definitely will need a lot of time to prepare your defense and your explanation.
President John Dramani Mahama has called for renewed diplomatic engagements with the Alliance of Sahel states following the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger from the ECOWAS. The three currently under the Alliance of Sahel states have cited inconsistencies in ECOWAS's operations as a reason for exiting the bloc. Both President John Mahama and the ECOWAS Commission agree there must be efforts aimed at reinstating them.
In moments like these, diplomacy and solidarity must remain our first and strongest line of defense. The recent decision by Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to withdraw from ECOWAS is a regrettable development. Yet, even in this, continuous engagement must remain our lodestar. We must respond not with isolation or recrimination, but with understanding, dialogue, and a willingness to listen and to engage.
Ghanaian students studying in Hungary are facing a severe financial crisis with months of unpaid stipends. According to the students, this persistent financial neglect has resulted in a crisis that jeopardizes their education, well-being, and future chances.
I'm not able to focus on my academics, and it's having a toll on my mental health. Accommodation here is really expensive. The hike of prices of food, for me to get the basic needs, is one challenge or the other.
We urge the government of Ghana to prioritize the release of 11 months outstanding stipends and 2 years book allowance payments to ensure students can meet their basic needs and continue their education without further interruptions.
Well, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up, minority in Parliament taking on President John Dramani Mahama for suspending under fire Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, who is now expected to face a 5-member committee in relation to petition seeking a removal. We're heavy on that tonight, and this is one that, in fact, this breaking news came through some 7 hours ago. We've been staying the steam on it for some time now, and then getting into the details of it and how things are playing out for now here on Ghana Tonight. And for the many of you who have been watching us here on Ghana Tonight, and Dennis Paberi Wadam Esquire is going to be joining me in a bit, had earlier indicated some 3 weeks ago that indeed Article 146(10)A of the 1992 Constitution does give the power to the president to take this particular decision that has been taken now, specifically on the suspension of the Chief Justice and the setting up of this 5-member committee. But all of that had to be done predicated on the establishment of a prima facie case against the Chief Justice. And this is the point that we are. But the minority says, well, this is one that is going to impact on the justice delivery system or the judicial architecture of the country in a negative way. Exactly what is your position on this matter? It's captured in a statement that they issued not too long ago. I'm going to put that on the screen right now. I've got a response from Phyllis Kwachofo so shortly. But the minority in Parliament says the decision by the President to suspend her leadership, Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Tokono, under the purported authority of Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution is nothing short of a brazen judicial coup. That's how they put it. A reckless abuse of executive power and a direct assault on the independence of Ghana's judiciary. Well, they continue to make the point that this move, taken while legitimate legal challenges are pending before the Supreme Court, reeks of intolerable political vendetta, judicial intimidation, and a calculated attempt to pack the courts with MDC sympathetic justices, as openly promised by President Mahama and Akonsombo in 2023. And I want you to take a look at the wording of the minority's press statement and exactly how they intend to, as it were, respond to the current development. They say, any further attempts to harass, intimidate, or unlawfully remove the Chief Justice will be met with fierce legal and public resistance. Any effort to pack the judiciary with politically compliant judges will be challenged to the fullest extent of the law. The legal fraternity, civil society, and all defenders of democracy will not stand idly by while the judiciary is turned into an appendage of the executive. They are demanding, in fact, the minority in this statement, they are making a number of demands. And first, the immediate reinstatement of the Chief Justice pending the Supreme Court's determination of the pending legal challenges. You know, there are two cases of injunction against this particular process. Godfrey Yabo Adame sometime last week did indicate that in his legal view, this whole process should have been halted until the determination of this case. Well, we'll be finding out what becomes of these two petitions with this latest development upon the suspension of the Chief Justice. Also, the minority is making a demand, a halt to all removal proceedings until the judiciary has conclusively ruled on the constitutionality of the said process in motion. These are the demands that they are making, two of them. But then again, the learned Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has been quite clear on the position of government, essentially, that the president has done no wrong. He's only carrying out a constitutional mandate, as enshrined in Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. But Felix Kwatiofosu, who is the Minister in charge of Government Communications and the spokesperson for the president, did respond to a number of the issues that the minority has captured in this press statement that they put out there, responding to this decision to suspend the Chief Justice as stipulated in the Constitution. Felix Kwatiofosu says that that claim by the minority that the John Mahama administration has conducted a coup on the judiciary cannot be the case. He spoke to Eric Mawana Egbeta earlier today. Take a look.
Well, first of all, the NPP itself has come in for criticism for their unwarranted politicization of this particular issue. It is curious that it is a political party, the New Patriotic Party, that appears to be up in arms about this. Otherwise, every reasonable person understands exactly what is happening. That the president is required to act in specific ways once he receives this petition. In fact, before President Mahama took office, in the dying embers of the Akufo-Addo administration, a similar petition went to the president, and he took the same steps that the president has taken, except, of course, the determination of the prima facie. President Akufo-Addo also went into some consultation with the Council of State to determine whether there was prima facie in that petition. He, on that occasion, said there was no basis to proceed further. President Mahama, on this occasion, believes that in consultation with the Council of State, prima facie has been determined. So it is not clear why the NPP believes that when they are in power, their president can act in accordance with the Constitution. That when they leave power, another party that comes to power cannot act in accordance with the Constitution. So one has to question the sincerity that they bring to this whole discourse and question whether or not it is not politically motivated. Because quite frankly, they have not covered themselves in glory in this particular matter. They have needlessly politicized this and created an impression that the Chief Justice is one of them and she's been handed. And it is manifestly unfair to the Chief Justice what the MPP is doing. Their claims also do not hold merit because they cannot point to a single infraction on the part of the president in this whole process. And I'm not sure why they continue on the tangent that they are going. What has simply happened, and I must stress that the president has not said that the Chief Justice is guilty of any offense. The president has only said that when he consulted with the Council of State and looked into the petitions and weighed them against the Chief Justice's responses, it became clear that there are further questions that need some answers. The platform to do that is spelled out clearly by the Constitution, and the president has followed that particular stipulation to ensure that the matter is determined conclusively, but it is determined by persons who are clothed with a mandate to do so, which is the committee that he has set up. So again, I must express my surprise about the conduct of the New Patriotic Party in this instance. One can only infer political motives to what they are doing.
So that's some comprehensive response that the government spokesperson and Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwachofoso gave to aspects of the NPP minorities press statement detailing a number of things, including some demands that they are making going forward. Essentially, they are asking that the Chief Justice who has been suspended, as per the press statement by Felix Kwachofoso today, and as indeed enshrined in Article 146, and the President is acting according to that particular dictates of the provision of the Constitution. They say they want the Chief Justice reinstated, and the entire process that has kickstarted already in relation to the petitions against her be halted. In fact, that's consistent with the demands that the petitioners in this, but in the persons who have sought some injunction against the process are seeking. Dennis Pabari-Wadam, Esquire, is with me in the studio right now. And Dennis, appreciate you joining us as always.
Alfred, always a pleasure being here.
And I told our viewers and our listeners on 3FM that if they recall, just some 3 weeks ago, you indicated that specific to Article 146,
yes,
10A of the Constitution, the President was clothed with the powers of what has happened today. Let's just backtrack a bit and put the matters in context. Exactly what has happened today and the power of the President taking this particular decision.
Precisely so, Alfred, because we just had to indicate what was possible under circumstances and what was not possible. And we saw that it was possible for the President, along the line in this process, he has that power to suspend the Chief Justice so that the process can still continue. And that's, we have seen, that has played out today. And mind you, I think last week also the minority had raised concern. I think they had picked some intel that this was bound to happen. They had already raised concerns that they were opposed to it. But we also did indicate that before the suspension could happen, some things needed to happen before.
Indeed.
Because at that point, we had only got information about the fact that the Chief Justice had put in her response to the petitions. And we felt that at that point, it was still premature for any suspension to have been carried out. Because, one, when you look at the procedure, there has to be the establishment or the otherwise of a prima facie case. And if the prima facie case is established, a committee will be set up, and then the matter referred to the committee before the suspension can now kick in. So the letter we got today from the presidency did indicate that all these things have happened. And we've now found ourselves at the point where the president exercised the power that he has under Article 146(10) of the 1992 Constitution, which is clearly displayed on the screen here. And it says that where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may, so it's an option that the president has to do it or not to do it. In this case, he has. May A, in the case of the Chief Justice, and that's what we're dealing with, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State. Mind you, the President didn't do this alone. He had to consult with the Council of State to come to this conclusion. And by a warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. That is what has happened today. And that's the communication from the presidency to the effect that the Chief Justice has been suspended. Alfred, it's instructive to also indicate that the power given to a Chief Justice to suspend, the Constitution also gives the President power to revoke that suspension anytime. And I'll show you that in Article 146(11).
I see.
Which says that the President may at any time revoke a suspension under this article. To put this in simple terms, we are told that the Chief Justice has been suspended today. Yes. We may wake up tomorrow morning, and if the President deems it fit, he can revoke that suspension.
I see.
It doesn't have to depend on anything, as you can see. That's all that the provision says. So the power to suspend and then the power to revoke that suspension.
The same suspension is vested in the President.
Exactly. It's like the power to appoint and to, as many would like to say, disappoint. So in this case, the power has the President, the power to suspend, just as we have seen him do, and then that power to revoke that particular suspension. So it's not a done deal yet, as many may have thought, that once the suspension is on,
then the Chief Justice is a goner. So
yes.
It's just.
But even in furtherance to that, mind you, the Chief Justice is going through a process. It's a legal process. And this is at a point where the President, in consultation with the Council of State, have come to a conclusion that, yes, there are issues to be responded to, or there is a case to be answered, or that there is a link between the allegations made against the Chief Justice, so much so that she's called upon to answer. If she answers favorably, and that committee, as would show who the members of the committee are as has been put together by the President and the Council of State. If the committee comes to a conclusion that, yes, the Chief Justice has responded favorably, for which reason she does not deserve to be removed, such recommendations will be made to the President. And as the law is, the President is bound by such recommendations.
I see. It's instructive that you make this particular point because, you know, that 14611 that you reference essentially indicates the President could just, you know, decide that, look, I'm recalling this suspension, reinstating her as the minority essentially is demanding. But if you listen to the likes of Samuel Kujato, you know, renowned legal practitioner, he makes the point that he does not see President Mahama reinstating the Chief Justice, you know, where this particular process has gotten to. We'll hear from him in a bit.
Yes, but so it's one thing.
These are divergent views.
It's one thing having a view that it's impossible, but in law it is possible, and that's what we've just shown you in Article 14611. I mean, maybe once upon a time, no one thought that a president would invoke Article 14610, because this will be the first time in the Fourth Republic we are seeing the Chief Justice being suspended under these circumstances. So you never can tell. It is possible, since the law allows it to be done, it's possible that maybe the President may change his mind and he wants to revoke that particular suspension for whatever reason.
I see.
But it's not all that gloomy. I mean, but of course, that's a view that he's entitled to.
Perfect. So what we are seeing now with the Chief Justice being suspended is not conterminous with our legal history. This is unprecedented. It's a precedent that's been set beginning today, because we've seen a number of Chief Justices in the past being petitioned, but it has never gotten to this point of they being suspended, correct? Let's go back into history.
Yes, that's true. So when you look at our history and as regards Chief Justices and how some petitions have come their way, yes, of course, we've seen that a lot of them have had to deal with petitions, or the President has been petitioned to take certain actions against them, i.e. their removal. But we haven't seen a point where it's got to a point where a Chief Justice, while in office, was suspended because of circumstances like this. Let's go back to 1991. So from 1991 to 1995, where we had Philip Edward Archer, there are no records of any petitions against him. Likewise for Isaac Kobina Aban, 1995 to 2001. When you move forward to Justice Edward Kwame Redu, in the years 2001, 2003, there was a petition against him, and this was by one petitioner called Francis Janku Asasi Kofi. Now, the basis for this petition largely were that the Chief Justice had lied under oath about his age regarding his date of birth, whether it was 1934 or it was 1932, and that in doing so, the Chief Justice had deceived Parliament during a vetting to extend his tenure of office, and that by doing so, he had committed perjury by providing false information to a public office. Those were the basis for that particular petition. The conclusion was that the petition failed, but then Justice Edward Kwame Redu voluntarily retired. We also have the issue of George Kingsley Acquah, Justice George Kingsley Acquah, 2003-2007. The petition was brought against him by Bright Oblite Akwete. The basis were that there was some judicial interference, allegedly, that he was instructing judges on how to rule on specific cases, abuse of office, and then victimization of judges. The outcome, as we would see, that also failed. We move on to 2007 to 2017, two petitions against then Chief Justice Georgina Theodora Wood. The petitioner, citizens of La Home and abroad. The basis for the petition were that there were some allegations of unfair handling of land cases related to the Ga Adangbe people. The petitioner, there was another petition again. I mean, so in her case, there were two petitions. The other petition was by one Ernest Audrey Latte. The basis was for stated misbehavior and incompetence. And mind you, these are the grounds stated in the Constitution for the removal of a Chief Justice. Fast forward to 2017 to 2019, Justice Sophia Kufu, petitioner was Mensa Thompson of Asepa. The conclusion, this petition failed. We go to Justice Enim Yeboah, Asepa again as the petitioner. There was an allegation of some 5 million bribery scandal by a lawyer. This petition also did not see the light of day. It failed. Now we move to what we are having to deal with. 4 petitions. We understand there are 2 more petitions against Justice Gertrude Tukono. Aside those that have been dealt or those that have been dealt with, we understand there are 2 more petitions.
So let me understand this. So we know there are 3 petitions that was announced by Fides Kwachofosu a little over a month ago in that press statement.
Those in respect of which the prima facie case has been established, for which the committee has been set up to look into the matter.
Perfect. And
3 of them.
Professor Kwekwa,
this was somewhere last year.
This petition was after the election.
Yes.
When Nana Akufo-Addo was still president.
Exactly.
And this was dismissed.
This was dismissed. This did not succeed. But the 3 of them that we are dealing with now have succeeded. Beyond those 3, we are learning that there are other 2, which have since been forwarded to the Chief Justice for her to respond.
So that makes it 5 in addition to this, essentially will be 6.
Yes. So in addition to this will be 6 petitions in all against this particular Chief Justice.
I see. Now, that means that she actually, if you look at the historic perspective you bring to this, she is the Chief Justice with the highest number of petitions against her.
Precisely so. 6 of them in all.
I see. But then again, out of the 6, it's only, as we speak now, it's only 3 that have then had a prima facie established.
At least 3 of them have crossed a point where an inquiry will be made into. That is to say that a case has been established for which she has, or the Chief Justice has to answer. The other one has failed, so that is a goner. The other 2, we are waiting to see what the outcome of those would be, because what we are gathering is that they've been forwarded to a Chief Justice for her to give her response. Once the response is given, it goes through the process again. The President, together with the Council of State, would put the facts of the petition together with her response and also determine whether or not a prima facie case will be made of it. And if it's done, a committee to look into it. The question is whether or not it's still the same committee that will look into that same matter if a prima facie case is established, or a new committee will be set up to look into it. That's another matter. But Alfred, let's take a look at the members of this particular committee. We had already said in the past that the composition of this committee, 5 members, 2 of them must be justices of the Supreme Court. 3 of them, let's just say ordinary people, because they are not supposed to be lawyers. They are not supposed to be members of the Council of States. So, of course, you, Alfred, can serve on this committee. Unfortunately, I cannot serve on this committee.
Because you are
precisely
an officer of the court.
So, yes, Justice Gabriel Scott Palmer is the chair of this particular committee. He's a justice of the Supreme Court. Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu.
He's a chairman of this committee?
Yes, he's a chairman of this committee.
Sometime last week, there was a petition against him that the petitioner withdrew.
Yes.
Essentially. And now he's the chair.
And that's the interesting thing about life, Alfred.
Of this committee.
So what that means is that if that petition was allowed to go through against Justice Gabriel Scott Palmer, the Chief Justice would have been the one to determine a prima facie case against him.
And this time around...
But for the withdrawal, that process truncated. But it so happened that the petitioner decided to withdraw that petition. Now we have a situation whereby he has now been appointed to be a chair of a committee that will sit on the matter of the Chief Justice.
That's life, is it not?
The twist and turns. But he's one of the 5 members of the committee.
I see.
Justice Samuel Asiedu is also on there as a member, Justice of the Supreme Court. Daniel Yao Domelevu, former Auditor General, and also a member of the Oral Preparatory Team, now defunct.
Yes.
Then we also have a member of the Ghana Armed Forces, Major Flora Dalugu, also a member. We also have Professor James Sefa Jisa, who is an associate professor of the University of Ghana. So these are the members who are going to make an inquiry into these 3 petitions that have been brought against the Chief Justice. They'll make recommendations to the President, and the President would act on that particular recommendation. In the meantime, the President has decided to exercise his powers under Article 14610 of the 1992 Constitution to suspend the Chief Justice. The question arises, does that mean Ghana is without a Chief Justice as we speak?
It's a question.
There's an answer to that.
In fact, it has gotten an answer already, but let's get the answer to it. Exactly what that the details of the Constitution say, because the legal and judicial architecture of this country a boss vacuum. And so certainly we should have something right now, is it
Yes,
not?
but many had thought that when the presidency released the statement about the suspension of the Chief Justice, that information would have been added. I recall
so
our colleague
acting.
Yes, acted. Our colleague Mawena Egbeta put that question to the Minister of State in charge of the government communications, and he explained that the judicial service itself has a way of dealing with such circumstances. So I understand that to mean that the judicial service will give a communication as to how to progress from this particular point. But when you look at Article 1446 of the 1992 Constitution, it gives a route as to how to navigate these things, because it's actually contemplated that there will be a time that there will be a Chief Justice who for some reason may not be able to perform, or that place may actually become vacant. So when you look at 1446, it says that where the office of the Chief Justice is vacant, or where the Chief Justice is for any reason unable to perform the functions of his office, A, until a person has been appointed to or has assumed the functions of that office, or B, until the person holding that office has resumed the functions of that office. This will apply to what we are dealing with now, because the person holding this office has been suspended. So until that person resumes that office, as the case may be, those functions shall be performed by the most senior of the justices of the Supreme Court. Shall be performed by the most senior of the justices of the Supreme Court.
I think emphasis should be put on there, because that gives us a clue, is it not?
Yes,
because
it does.
The most senior of the justices of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
As we speak, per the justice of the Supreme Court, who is the most senior as far as we do know?
Well, so the most senior of them will be Justice Bafoboni.
Why is that?
Well, so let me show you how they stand as it is now. The justice of the Supreme Court. So here is it. So they are arranged in the order of seniority.
Okay.
From top downwards. So on top of it is His Lordship Justice Paul Bafoboni. He's 68 years of age. Next to him is His Lordship Justice Gabriel Pwama, the man who is chairing the committee that is looking into this particular matter. Next to him is Her Ladyship Justice Avril Lovelace Johnson. She's 63 years of age. That's the third senior most. Next is Justice Imoro Tanko Amadou. You have Her Ladyship Justice Professor Henrietta Joy Abina Nyako Mensa Bongsu. She's 67 years. It follows in that order. His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Yoni Kolindi is there. Following him closely is His Lordship Justice Samuel Kwame Esiedu. You have His Justice Lordship George Kingsley Kumsin is there. His Lordship Justice Ernest Yao Jew, 56 years. One of the youngest. Then following him, youngest in terms of age actually.
Right.
But when you look at that order.
It's also important.
So his Lordship Justice Henry A. Kofi follows. His Lordship Justice Yao Dakwasari. His Lordship Justice Richard Eji Frimpong. And he is the youngest when it comes to that order in the Supreme Court.
Perfect point. And beyond their ages as well, you look at Justice Paul Bafoboni. How long has he been serving as a justice of the Supreme Court?
About 17 years, because he's been at the Supreme Court since 2008.
To date, 17 years.
Yeah.
So essentially, even beyond the age, in terms of service as the
and
justice
experience,
of the Supreme Court,
he should be the most experienced on the bench of the Supreme Court.
Interesting detail there. And then it's already that his name has come up strongly, even though there hasn't been any formal communication.
But when we look at the provisions of Article 1446, as we have indicated, clearly it falls on him, unless otherwise, that's what it is.
Samuel Kudjato has been speaking about this latest development regarding the suspension of the Chief Justice. He is also a renowned legal practitioner in this country, a former member of the Council of State of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He spoke to my colleague Eric Mauna, but earlier today. This is Samuel Kudjato's position on this matter. Take a look.
We live in a country which is very, very political, and perhaps sometimes it affects or it clouds people's judgment, conduct, action, utterances, and so on and so forth. But when there is a particular provision in the Constitution, I see what has been said or done is actually in compliance with what is in the Constitution. Yeah, the suspension, of course, is also a provision which in the Constitution that the President has the power to suspend the Chief Justice when a committee is set up to investigate, what it is. The President has the power to reinstate that person. But, of course, I don't see it happening in this case. But you are talking about the repercussion. The repercussion is the fact that we all live in an international community. And so oftentimes we in Ghana sometimes forget that. It's that we are a sovereign country. And I say yes, we are sovereign countries, survivor. And so if you say you are independent and you do something, where people feel that somehow you are manipulating the judicial system, they cannot trust your judicial system any longer. No investor, of course, will come and invest money in your country. So there are serious repercussions in some of these matters that I realize many Ghanaians don't understand.
Well, but then again, the minority references the processes at the Supreme Court, specifically related to these two injunctions by one Ghanaian and then the Otafo Member of Parliament, Vincent Asifua. It's been adjourned for the second time last week.
Yeah.
What's the impact of this particular development on these two petitions at the Supreme Court as we speak?
Well, so that's a question that the Supreme Court will answer on the next adjourned date. But, I mean, there are possible outcomes of that, or possibly there are certain ways that it could go. For instance, if the plaintiff applicants in the matter of the injunction decide not to go to courts, maybe if they are of the view that, considering that the processes have passed, maybe their application for injunction is no longer relevant, they themselves can give up on their applications. If they also go to courts and they're able to show cause why they should still be heard on their applications, and if they think there's something to be injuncted and the court reasons with them, that's fair enough. But if it also comes across as that events have passed so that hearing the injunction will be fruitless, then, of course, that will also be a matter that the Supreme Court will take a view and possibly strike it out as being moot. So those are the possible options, but largely this is in the bosom of the court to determine what the impact really of these events will be on these applications, because the court already sees with the processes. So let's look forward to May 6th.
Absolutely.
Where we will see what the court will say in respect of those applications.
Well, the matter is still rife and it's developing thick and fast. Number of reactions coming through. We're trying to get through to the Deputy Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Dr. Justice Shemsai. We're hitting roadblocks in doing that. We still continue to knock on the doors of the Deputy Attorney General. And when we get through to him, we'll seek some answers to the minorities' press statement that came through earlier this evening. But you're still live here on Ghana Tonight. Dennis Baberi Wadam Esquire, appreciate you as always. Coming up next, lawyers of the embattled Akonta Mining Company, they are fighting back allegations of illegal mining and the revocation of the company's mining leases. But the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining insists the company cannot extricate itself from this particular development regarding Akonta Mining. We're going to go into yesterday, recall exactly what the minister said at that press conference that he addressed, but Akonta Mining has not taken kindly to the recent revocation of the company's mining lease and accusations of their involvement in illegal mining. Lawyers of the company, they've been speaking. Now, we'll get into excerpts of that particular statement in a bit, but I'll recall exactly what the Minister in charge of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama-Kofi-Boa, said regarding this company's alleged operations in the Tano-Nimiri Forest and also Samurai Boy area, some forest reserves in there, and why a number of persons who have been arrested, and then also some persons named having to be connected to this particular company. There was a press conference that the minister addressed detailing some of these developments regarding this company and why the company is responding in this manner, also, as it were, hitting back at the said allegations against them. This is what the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama-Kofi-Boa, said at that press conference yesterday. Take a look.
Sorry. As you may recall, in our previous engulfment, I stated that under the leadership of His Excellency President John Mahama, we remain unwavering in our commitment to eradicate the scourge of illegal mining, an environmental sin against humanity and against God. We promise to carry the good people of Ghana along with these periodic updates. And today I'm here to provide key developments in this fight. One of the most egregious cases we have uncovered involves Akonta Mining Company Limited, a company legally registered and granted a government lease to mine responsibly off reserve outside the forest. The company, however, does not possess an entry permit into the forest reserve of the Samraboy Enclave of the Western North region. Yet, investigations reveal that Akonta Mining has flagrantly abused this lease. In August, as you recall, in August 2022, the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the Ghana Police, made some arrests of persons associated with Akonta Mining, encroaching on the forest reserves, specifically Compact 161. The docket was supposedly transferred to Accra.
Here at Akonta Mining, you also remember Bernard Ntweboisako is the Ashanti Regional Chair of the MPP, and that company and its lawyers have issued a statement responding to some of these allegations that we understand the ministers you just heard made against the company, and based on the said operation in the Tano-Nimere Forest and then also other forests within the Samrebo area. The company says we are not, quote, responsible for the activities in the Tano-Nimere Forest Reserve. So they don't know anything about it. That responsibility lies solely with the Forestry Commission and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, essentially also saying it is deeply concerning that state institutions are shifting blame onto a private company that has never been granted access to the said Tano-Nimere Forest area. Also, they say that the decision by the minister to publicly accuse Akonta Mining and call for the revocation of their mining licenses without any investigation or hearing from the company is not just unfair, it is a clear breach of natural justice and a politically motivated act. They finally say they assure the Ghanaian public that Akonta Mining has nothing to hide. They remain committed to transparency, legal compliance, and environmental responsibility. All their documents, permits, and official correspondence are available for public scrutiny. Well, this is why I bring in Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe. He leads the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Engineer, you were at the press conference by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources yesterday. This is what Akonta Mining is saying, that they don't even know anything about what's happening in the Tano-Nimere Forest, even to talk about being accused for that.
Well, you know, I would leave the government, because again, this, as the minister said, this was an operation led by the police, intelligence and all of that. And so I expect that the police, knowing what they know and the fact that they are responsible for these investigations, would have given the minister, you know, the right information and all of that. But I would leave that to the minister, since he said he's passed it on to the AG to look into. What I would recommend to the minister is that, again, because he talked about the fact that some state officials in the Forestry Commission, the mining inspectors might have been compromised, and there might have been situations where monies would have been paid to these people to elicit security support and all of that. That is corruption and corruption-related activity. And so I would also urge the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to forward that, you know, this case, refer this case to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So as the Attorney General and the office does his investigation and possible prosecution, the Office of the Special Prosecutor would also work. But what I would also say again is that we have a petition. So if, you know, Akonta Mining is talking about this particular one, we have a petition against Akonta Mining for its activity when the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, then Abu Jinapo, and the Minerals Commission. Fortunately, the Minerals Commission still has the same CEO, who was there, who pointed out the illegality that Akunta Mining was engaged in. And so that, for me, is something that Attorney General needs to exercise his mind on and ensure that that petition that we have is still live. And that has to be looked into. The government should deal with the current ones and provide its evidence to be able to deal with that. But so far as the media coalition is concerned and our petition against Akunta Mining is concerned, that is still live, and that has to be looked into.
I see. You talk about this latest development being forwarded to the special prosecutor. We do know that the special prosecutor's office has also been petitioned about a matter related to the same company, Akunta Mining, over a year now, and not much has been heard in terms of any far-reaching investigations into the matter. How about that?
Again, so that's why I'm saying that's true. And so that's why I'm saying that if the minister talks about the situations which are corruption related, then it's important that the OSP, if he did not have enough evidence in the past, we should also consider what the allegations that are being made and also brought to his attention. And we in the first one did not petition the Attorney General because we did not believe that the crimes were corruption related. They were crimes that would have been committed under the Minerals and Mining Act for Akunta Mining's foray into the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve then, and then also breaching the buffer policy where works on their concessions that they had working outside the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve was also impacting on the Tano River as well. And we believe those were breaches of the Minerals and Mining Act and the policies that existed then. And we believe that there were questions to be answered so far as the directors were concerned.
I see, but you sat through that press conference. A video was played, portions of which we're going to put on the screen in a bit. Based on what you saw with regards to the destruction of the forest reserve there, and the company is saying right now in their press statement that, you know what, we don't even know anything about the destruction of the Tano Nimri forests. What happens next?
Well, so I guess that once it gets to they responding and the minister also talking about evidence that they have found, the destruction we saw yesterday was profound, was really profound. It was an exacerbation of the destruction that had happened prior to, this particular one, the old one that had led us to the petitioning. And so far as we are concerned, whoever it is that would have caused this, and whatever evidence that the government has gathered at this particular time, I think the minister has put it right by asking the Honorable Attorney General to do the needful and investigate the particular case. Again, I say that this operation was led by the police, so I'm sure the police would have done all their works and they will be able to prepare a docket and be able to throw the book at those who the book have to be thrown at. But as they do that, we would also urge the Attorney General to look at the petition that was submitted some time back and also ask the IGP to also look into that so that the activities that happened in the past would also be considered in whatever prosecution that will be done.
Engineer Dr. Ken Ashibe, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back shortly after this quick break. We'll tell you exactly what happened at the Tamale Teaching Hospital earlier today when the Minister for Health, Kwabena Mintah, paid a surprise visit to the facility and what's happened eventually. Stay with us after this quick break.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo Paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful Alex look. Flamingo Paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily.
Welcome back. Coming up next, Health Minister Kwabena Kando's visit to the Tamale Teaching Hospital in the Northern region exposes a broken, malfunctioning, ill-equipped health facility in need of urgent attention. Tonight, we're getting into that particular visit, what ensued when he got there, at what has been described as an unannounced surprise visit by the minister, accompanied by some members of the health committee, and then also the Deputy Roads Minister, Al-Hassan Suhaini, was there with him. And there was a conversation that ensued between him and the officer in charge today. And it resulted in the sacking of the Tamale Teaching Hospital CEO. But the exchange that we saw between them. Take a look at this. We'll recall that a bit. Would also be joined shortly by Dr. Thomas Anaba, former CEO of Ridge Hospital, that's Greater Accra Regional Hospital, and MP for Garo is going to be joining us. But this is what happened.
We identified that the patient needed to have been intubated. The ICU call was made.
And they said they didn't have anything.
Yes, so there were no available beds. Within 10 minutes, because usually when you score red, you are immediately brought to the red zone. There's no situation where you have to delay. You are pushed straight to red. So as soon as you are tried red, you are brought in red. The 4 vents were in use. So there was no extra vents anywhere to put the patient on. So that was the issue that kind of caused the delay. But all the resuscitation was done here. We called the ICU and they said they didn't have any vents available for the intubation. And at that point, there's really little that you'll be able to do without the intubation. So the patient was being bagged here until the patient could. Available mobile vent anytime, we would have used it. We intubate patients here all the time. Occasionally that's happening.
So that's what you should highlight.
Occasionally that's happening. I think the way forward is for us to have the vents available at the emergency. And then this wouldn't have been happening because we could have intubated the patient here without needing to go. So the next step is ICU. The call was made to the ICU.
And they said there was no...
They said there was no space.
So it was this conversation you just saw that degenerated into the exchanges, essentially. But Dr. Thomas Anaba is joining us on Zoom right now. He is the Member of Parliament for the Garu constituency, the former CEO of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, talking about the Ridge Hospital. He's joining us right now. Doc, you've seen this video I just played to our viewers and our listeners on 3FM. And having been a former CEO of a public health institution, and all of that which ensued in this video, how did all of this get to you?
Okay, to me, a minister is the one who oversees all the health institutions, facilities in the country. So if he has interest in any case that gets to his attention, it is his duty to visit that place if he wants. If he also decides to send a team to go and look at it, it is his duty to do that. So I think that the minister going there, he cannot be prevented. He has not done anything wrong. That is what he felt he should do. He got the call and he decided to go there himself to see it for himself. So there's nothing wrong with it. The minister can visit any hospital or any health facility or any health institution at all that he so desires to visit. Whether there's a call, a distress call or not, he can do it.
I see, and I'm sure that you've followed the public commentary after this because of the exchanges we saw between him and the said officer in charge today, who was also together with the CEO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, whom we understand has been dismissed. That's Dr. Adam Atiku. Indeed, the health minister confirmed that indeed the dismissal of the chief executive officer of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Dr. Adam Atiku, we showed that video. He was the one in white standing by the gentleman who was talking. I mean, there are some who say that all of this could have happened without the cameras. Is it one that you agree with?
We are in a country that everybody has an opinion about, which is fine. At least there's freedom of speech. So there's also a freedom to practice and lead the country in accordance to lay down procedures. If a minister goes to any place, normally there are cameras with them. Normally there are cameras to highlight whatever they are doing. So if he's received a call and he's going there and goes with cameras, there's nothing wrong with it. It is not a secret. The only thing is that he must respect the privacy of patients in that hospital if he goes. But if he goes to meet with the management of the hospital or goes to look at certain information they've given to him about the way the hospital is handled or the way the hospital is being managed, the way the infrastructure is being deteriorating, if he decides to go with cameras to look at it without telling the management, this will set an alert, a warning to all other health managers to make sure that they keep their hospitals in shape. So I don't see the reason people are indicating that going there with cameras and the rest is not correct. That is the minister who is moving.
Yes, but Doc, so some have also been of the view that beyond what you've seen today, and in fact, the health minister being commended for going on these unannounced visits, they want him to expand this, the tentacles of this unannounced visit to cover other regions and public hospitals or health institutions, for that matter, to see what's going on firsthand for him. But beyond this, the hospitals are faced with these teething challenges. So what happens next for you, the Health Committee of Parliament?
For sure, the hospitals, the major problem facing hospitals, all the hospitals in Ghana is funding. Luckily, this government has uncapped the NHIS, is allowing more funding to go into it. Other challenges to be some human resource issues, and then the rest. Yes. The Health Committee is just embarking on what we call a tour to some selected hospitals across the country to gather evidence-based challenges. And with that, we make recommendations to government to improve upon the challenges that they are facing. Yes, they report to government about their challenges, but we want to go to the hospitals and experience it, see it ourselves, see what they can do themselves to improve it, and what recommendation we can make to the government and the minister to help them improve the service delivery so that every Ghanaian in this country, when he goes to hospitals, he'll feel much comfortable and get his treatment in a very good environment. So that is what the Health Committee is currently doing. After we finish with our visits, we'll sit down and then get our reports and give a copy, definitely. That will go to Parliament, and a copy may be sent to the minister to act upon the recommendations that we may give to him and approved by Parliament.
All right. Dr. Thomas Anaba, appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. He's Member of Parliament for the Garu constituency, former CEO of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. That's a rich hospital. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again tomorrow for yet another conversation. Join the New Day team tomorrow morning on TV3 and also the Sunrise team on 3FM 92.7. On behalf of the rest of the team, do enjoy your night. I am Alfred Ocansey.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior